Okay, leader, I'm going to ask the question because this is a tough one. If your team, your people, did not have to follow you, would they still follow you? See, that's one of the great challenges in leadership and management is many people just follow the leader, the manager, because they've got the title, they've got the position. There's a hierarchy, a structure, there's kind of a power dynamic. But if there wasn't any of that in place, would they still want to follow you as a leader? So that's one of the questions. So in this video, I'm going to talk just a little bit about becoming or being a leader people want to follow. And I've just got some characteristics, some traits of leaders that people actually want to follow and the types of leaders people will voluntarily follow. So before we jump into those traits, I do quickly want to give you a few quick reasons people will stop following a leader. There's a breakdown of this leadership to the follower. And some of the big reasons you see this is there is a breakdown of trust. There's a lack of trust between the leader, the employee. Maybe the leader or the manager is micromanaging. Maybe there's some type of disruption where the employees have been second guessed so many times, or their opinions just aren't respected or heard. And there will be this breakdown where all of a sudden, yes, there is still the leadership title, the management title, but people are only doing the bare minimum. They're only following because they have to keep their job and keep getting their paycheck. But they don't want to follow this leader because of how they've been treated. In a sense, going along with that, there is also where people just don't feel seen. They don't feel heard. Their opinions aren't validated. If they speak up with a recommendation, an idea, something that maybe will impact or change some dynamic on the team in some way, the leader just ignores it. It's you're an employee, your opinion doesn't matter kind of mindset. And the leader maybe is more overbearing of, I am the leader. You do what I say, when I say, how I say jump, you say how high. And that's not good. So when people feel unheard, they feel disrespected, they don't feel like there's a trust going both ways, you start to get a breakdown of this team dynamic. Those are the types of leaders people don't want to deal with and they don't want to follow. So that's the breakdown aspect. Now, let's actually talk about the traits of leaders people want to follow. And you'll see some of them are kind of the opposite of what I just talked about, but let's dive into those. All right, trait number one is leaders people want to follow. They make people feel seen and heard. And this is the aspect where the leader's checking in. How are you doing? What's going on? Are you okay? They just want to make sure you have what you need, you have the resources, you're taken care of, but they're also not micromanaging. There's an aspect of being seen, being respected and cared for as a person, and not being controlled as a worker. And so they feel seen in that aspect. Now, being heard is a little different. If somebody speaks up in a meeting or shares an idea, you actually listen and respect. Okay, this is their opinion. This is their thought. Take it under advisement, consideration, however you want to look at it. Maybe their idea is crazy off the wall, but you can at least acknowledge, thank you for your input. Let them at least feel heard in that instance. But also, if they have a great idea, discuss it with them, talk to them about it, see if it's worth implementing in some way, make them realize their feedback, their input actually does matter, make them feel heard. And also in that instance, make sure you practice active listening. And one of the easiest things, not even going fully in depth in active listening, but listen without interrupting. Because if somebody comes to you and they want to share an opinion or a thought and they can't even explain the full thought or share what they're wanting to, and you're interrupting, let me just stop you right there. I know what you're doing. I think I know where you're going. Let me just go ahead and interject right here. If you're doing any of those things, that is an act of disrespect, and you are going to make them feel like they are not truly being heard. So keep that in mind. Make people feel seen and heard. Trait number two is just being consistent. This is across a few different aspects. So number one, be consistent with your word. If you say you're going to do something, you say you're going to meet, you say you're going to follow up with them about their idea, you say there's some initiative you want to implement on the team, be consistent with your word. And if something happens that does change, because we all know things happen, things change, let them know why it changed. Follow through, have a little bit of transparency, what you can have. I know there's some limits to that, but try to keep that communication up with your team. The more consistent you can be in your communication, the more your team will trust you. And they're going to realize that you are not just some person that's feeding them a bunch of garbage or making up things or just trying to pat them on the back, make them feel good. If there is some consistency and care and communication, then they're going to realize you are a genuine person that cares about them as your team. They're going to look to follow you. They're going to respect you. They're going to trust you even more. These are all aspects that grow this team cohesion, this team cooperation, and is bonding this team to be more successful. Just simple consistency with your words, your actions, and also being consistent as far as your favoritism across the team. If you're showing favoritism and giving one employee all the best assignments and another one all the most difficult assignments, you're also going to be breaking down aspects of the team dynamic. So if you're consistent with workload, trust, responsibilities, communication, transparency, all of those aspects, guess what? Your team's going to like you. They're going to be more willing to follow. They're going to like following you a whole lot more. Trait number 3 is respect. It is earned and it is also modeled, not simply just given. So if you are a leader, a manager, you are expecting people just to respect and fall in love with you and do whatever you want them to since you've just risen to the ranks of being a manager. Don't get your hopes up. You need to model respect by showing respect to your employees, your team, and trusting that modeling that respect will show respect back to you. But it's also showing respect for other people. So if you are interacting with other leaders and other groups or other teams in other areas, showing respect to those individuals is also beneficial and very helpful. Some other ways you can earn some respect is being humble, not arrogant, you're not boasting, you're not putting yourself up on a pedestal, giving the team recognition and credit for what they do, being humble as a leader, giving credit where credit's due, trusting, cooperation, teamwork, all of those aspects. People would rather follow a leader that embodies those types of characteristics than one who's egotistical, arrogant, or any of those things. So be mindful. Respect is earned and modeled, not just simply given or demanded in some way. And then the last trait I want to share is safety. And most of the time when we hear safety, we think of OSHA or safety regulations, protective initiatives, whatever. Not necessarily that in this instance, so don't panic on me on those things, but more so psychological safety. Now, psychological safety is a very interesting thing, but psychological safety is where people feel comfortable voicing their opinions. And I'm not talking about just bashing or going crazy, complaining about everything. I mean, genuinely, if there is a concern or an issue, they feel comfortable bringing it to you as a leader and you're not going to judge them or criticize them for it. You hear them out. It's also if there's tension or a problem within the team, they don't just cover it up and hide it. They feel comfortable voicing it to you as their leader, and they know even if they're in the wrong and there's not a fix that's going to happen, they can at least share what's on their mind, what's bothering them, what's going on. It even could be about the company as a whole. Why are we following this new initiative? Why are we doing these things? Do you really think there's going to be layoffs, or is there this financial struggle? Is our organization okay? They feel comfortable talking to you and engaging with you, and they feel like you have their best interest in mind as their leader. And so that's something that gives them psychological safety in the workplace. If you have high standards, you expect high quality, but you give psychological safety, you make sure people feel like they can voice their opinions, they can trust you, they can respect you, you're going to have a high performing team. And that is one big difference that sets just average leaders apart from highly successful leaders. So if you want to be a leader people actually want to follow, focus on listening, making people feel seen and heard, focus on the respect, focus on making sure they feel safe to voice opinions and just be themselves and to share with you if there's problems, there's things going on, but also if they have ideas or feedback, make sure they feel heard and seen. If nothing happens and you don't follow up and implement their ideas because they're not the right fit, at least letting them know you listened and you heard them. You considered, you had respect for them as your employee, that they might have a good idea and have something that they could contribute. When you do those things, that makes a huge difference. So if you want to be a leader people want to follow, practice some of these traits. If you want to learn more about leadership management and what it is to be a good, effective leader, drop a like on the video, subscribe, follow along, and tune in for more videos because I'm going to help you be a highly successful leader.